Well, hey there. Every single one of us has our own favorite cartoon character, whether you started watching them as a kid or as an adult. Either way, you know them very well. You know what they look like, what they act like, etc. But it might surprise you to learn that that character looks completely different and even acts differently depending on where you are in the world. Here are 10 cartoon characters remade in foreign countries. Number 10 is Finn from the Adventure Time. Adventure Time follows two characters. One is a boy named Finn, and the other is his best friend and adopted brother, Jake. Jake has magical powers and changes size at any time. Jake is also a dog. It's been tremendously successful and has a massive fan following. And if you're a fan, you might be surprised to know that there is another version of Finn and some of the characters other places in the world. The Legend of Lucky Pie is made by a group of Chinese animators and is released online. It's funded through Patreon by fans and follows the adventures of Finn and Jake all over again. The animation style is similar, but the character designs have been changed so that Finn is an owl-like boy, while Jake, instead of being a dog, is a pony with a long snout. Really? Is that all it takes to get views? Because I'm more than happy to dress up like an owl for you guys. Ooh, ooh. Number 9 is Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is an iconic cartoon dog who goes around with his friends solving crimes and often exposing ghosts and ghouls as humans dressed up in costumes. The series is so popular that it has been remade for a foreign audience with weird versions of Scooby and his friends. In fact, the Australian cartoon Goober and the Ghost Chases is a thinly veiled remake of the American show. Scooby was remade into the eponymous Goober, who's a dog who travels around with his friends solving crimes and investigating spooky goings-on. Goober and his pals lasted for just one season, spawning 16 episodes. But in a bizarre twist, this was a case of a company ripping off its own creation. While Goober and the Ghost Chasers was never announced as a remake of Scooby, it was made by Scooby's creators, Hanna-Barbera. Well, that's one way to get around copyright infringement. I'm just gonna copy my own show. Nobody's gonna get to it first. Mine. Number 8 is The Simpsons. The Simpsons is the most successful cartoon TV show of all time. You'd think that with characters so instantly recognizable that no one would attempt an unofficial remake. But of course, you'd be wrong. In the ex-Soviet nation of Georgia, a cartoon creator called Shalva Ramishvili has produced something eerily similar. Instead of the cartoon characters The Simpsons, Shalva has created a show called The Samsonades. This yellow-colored family looks just like The Simpsons if they were made of melted plastic. But nonetheless, the family has its own Homer, complete with its own brand of dopey behavior, and the makers of the Samsonades say that the show is completely different. For example, they have a talking parrot that occasionally foils Vladimir Putin's spy missions. Since everything is backwards in Russia, instead of "don't" does he say "what?" I'll just let you think about that for a second. Number 7 is Rochelle from Planes. In some cases, cartoons are not remade wholesale, but instead have their characters slightly changed for an international audience. This was the case for Disney's 2013 film Planes. That film was a spin-off from the 2006 animated film Cars and followed the adventures of Dusty the Plane, who hopes to compete in the Wings Around the Globe rally. And in that, one of the characters is called Rochelle. She also takes part in the rally, but depending on where you watch the film around the world, her appearance would differ vastly. All the way across Canada, Brazil, Australia, France, Russia, and a number of other countries, her nationality was changed for each region. Along with this, her color scheme was altered to reflect her nationality. I think they should have went one step further and made her really Canadian in Canada, just constantly apologizing as she passes people. Oh, sorry, sorry. Number 6 is Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. Some cartoon characters have been remade into live-action versions for a foreign audience. One of the most infamous examples of this is the 2007 to 2009 broadcast of Tomorrow's Pioneers. It was broadcast by the Palestinian Hamas television station. The show was hosted by Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, two of the most famous cartoon characters of all time. But they changed the names of the characters, but their origins were still clear. The show presented a number of other costumed animals performing sketches and talking about life in Palestine. Many criticized the show as propaganda from the state-run television station. And in a horrific twist, the Mickey Mouse character was killed by an Israeli interrogator on one of the episodes. You see, kids, if Mickey doesn't talk, you know what happens? Oh boy! Number 5 are the Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls Z is a remake of the American show Powerpuff Girls and reinterprets the characters of that popular animated series. A co-production between Cartoon Network Japan and Aniplex, the show redesigned the Powerpuff Girls characters, giving them an anime look and changing the backstories and powers of each of the girls. In the original American version, the girls were kindergartners and were created by Professor Utonium, who gave them superpowers. The girls are sisters and the professor is their father. But in the anime version, they were ordinary 8th graders who are not related to each other and have no connection to the professor and even gain the ability to transform themselves into superheroes. The remake was divisive with Powerpuff Girls fans fighting to the end over which was better. Good thing they didn't remake My Little Pony, because bronies everywhere would be pissed. You don't want to see grown men in pony costumes fighting. It's just not a good sign. Number 4 is Stitch. There's a Japanese spin-off of the popular Lilo and Stitch franchise. It's a follow-up to the American animated version, which aired between 2003 and 2006. The series focused on the adventures of the two title characters, with Lilo being a young girl who adopts a genetically engineered alien called Stitch. But the Japanese version was simply called Stitch and focused on Stitch alone. Elements from children's manga were brought into this series, as Stitch and his new friend Yuna find themselves in a variety of adventures against the evil Dr. Jumba Jokiba and his minions. The animation style has been changed to suit the Japanese market, and so characters have a different look to them in general, but the show was still popular. That was unless you were a Lilo fan. She got left out in the cold. The cartoon world can be ruthless. Number 3 is Popeye. Popeye was once remade into a crazy film in the late 70s. The film was called The Dragon Lives Again and was made in the wake of Bruce Lee's death to cash in on the martial arts expert's tragic demise. I'm really not making this up when I say that the film follows Bruce Lee, who wakes up after death to find himself in the underworld. He then teams up with Kane from the 1970s show Kung Fu, and also Popeye the Sailor Man. Seriously, some of this stuff you can't make up. They go on an adventure where they have to face Dracula, James Bond, and Clint Eastwood, who have all been terrorizing the living in the afterlife. A number of other famous characters are involved along the way, etc, etc. It gets weird. Forget Infinity War, this is the greatest team up of all time. Popeye and Bruce Lee fighting Dracula? Take my money. Number 2 is Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo is an animated series on the Cartoon Network which aired between 1997 and 2004. The character of Johnny Bravo was so popular in India that long after the series ended, an hour-long special was produced in 2011 specifically for the Indian market. Apparently, the popularity of the character was down to reruns in India, which helped the show find a new generation of fans. Johnny became a pop culture icon there. The hour-long special itself was based on an 11-minute short Johnny Bravo film which had been made in India in 2009 and was made completely in the Indian language. Both versions of Johnny Bravo going to Bollywood did not alter the character's appearance, but did include significant references to Indian culture which may not have been understood elsewhere. Unless you're worldly like me, chaat papadi, sag paneer, tikka masala, get in my belly. And number 1 are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles remains one of the most popular cartoon franchises of all time, but in 1996, a Japanese animation company created their own version of the show, which was called Mutant Turtles: Superman Legend. Oh yeah, you gotta hear about this. In this version of the show, the turtles explore an ancient temple, which grants them the ability to mutate into beings called Super Turtles, and even combine them into one almighty turtle saint, a giant mech-like warrior. The show was able to use both the original turtle designs from the popular animated show at the time, and also incorporate a more traditional anime style when the turtles transformed, either into Super Turtles or the Turtle Saint. The entire show was created to promote two new lines of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys known as Super Mutants and Metal Mutants. Okay, that's all good, but question, did they still eat pizza? Because if they changed that, I am out. That was just a classic part of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I know, it gets weird, but also kind of fascinating at the same time. Anyway, don't forget to check out my podcast. It's brand new. I've got a lot of interviews on there with some really famous YouTubers. You're going to enjoy it. Links in the description. That's all. It's for your audio pleasure, baby. I'll see you guys next time.